Hello again. This is Math 2270 coming to you from the College of DuPage, and the title of this lecture is Midterm Musings, Scope Parameters and Other Notions. As always, please be an active learner as you watch this video. At the outset, I want to stress again that all student needs are being accommodated. This is a net offering. We do have a target time for the proctored exam, but if you have needs that cause that time to be longer or that time to be different, all student needs are being accommodated, but we have to know about this as soon as possible because I have to coordinate that with the proctors. Proctor should have contacted you already about the Zoom situation, and you already really should have contacted me if accommodation is necessary. That doesn't mean I'm angry if this hasn't happened, but if either one of these things hasn't happened, let's fix that. Send me an email about accommodation, and with accommodation in the title. All right, a little bit about the content then of the high stakes midterm assessment. These are the learning objectives that are included. I could ask you any and all of these things. Solve first order separable, homogeneous, and exact equations. I could ask you to solve all three. Solve a first order linear equation using an integrating factor. Solve a variety of application problems that result in first order differential equations. We talked about several of these, including orthogonal trajectories and mixing problems. I could ask you to determine whether a set of functions forms a fundamental set of solutions for a homogeneous linear differential equation. I could ask you to construct a second solution to a second order linear differential equation from a known solution. I could ask you to solve a higher order, second order or above, linear differential equation with constant coefficients and use a variety of techniques if it is non-homogeneous that include the annihilator, variation of parameters, and we haven't talked about Laplace transforms yet, so that gets crossed out. And we also could talk about solving some problems. We'll talk about more of these, but solve some problems that result from a higher order initial value problem. I could ask you to solve a Cauchy-Euler equation. And we did do other things too. We talked about Bernoulli equations. We talked about Riccati equations. We talked about Clairaut equations. We talked about Green's functions. So that's the broad scope. Now, a little bit more about the content then. I am going to give you 12 problems to solve. You will have 2 hours, 120 minutes to solve them. That's the normal target time. You will have a copy of the test that you can print out. I'm emailing that to you as I talked about. But you have scratch paper only. And you will only be using scientific calculators. I'm telling the proctors that you really should use the on-screen calculator that has all the scientific functions you need. Or use Excel, that certainly is allowed, but there's no surfing, and in particular I don't want you using calculators that have symbolic integration. That's not a level playing field, and that's not in line with math department conventions. I do want to emphasize that the primary grading instrument is your password protected answer sheet. Don't underestimate the challenge of typing things in. You may have to be narrative a little bit and maybe type the square root of something instead of having a symbol to use for the square root. This is hard for me and it's hard for you during the COVID era. I'm sorry, but we'll get through. But pay attention and allow time to do this. And realize that this is going to be the primary grading instrument, and that means that your PDF upload is secondary. So if you leave something blank here, you did not have an answer to the problem. So this is a key thing, and this is the primary grading instrument. If you have an answer but it's not right, potential partial credit could happen from the PDF upload. But that's secondary, and that must be done very shortly after the exam is finished. But your proctor stays with you until you've uploaded this primary answer sheet. I also, because I've talked with people and I want them to realize that, gee, I'm not going to say use separation of variables to solve a given problem. So one skill that you want to cultivate is understanding, oh, how am I going to approach this problem? Because for the most part, I'm going to say, hey, solve these problems. So I've given you some problems here, and I am going to provide you with some solutions, and I'm treating this almost like an LSA. But you get this and you're going to figure out, oh, how would I approach this problem? You could also try to solve these problems, but the only thing I'm asking you to do is to use this to practice figuring out what approach is necessary. This will help you, and I have several problems here, and I will provide at least solutions about how I would approach each of these problems. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about mindset as you go into here. You remember that my primary goal is to teach you a high quality course, but my secondary goal is to help students manage their anxieties. This is about managing anxieties. First of all, you should prepare well for this exam. Pasteur said, "Fortune favors the prepared mind, and truer words are rarely spoken." So prepare well. Second thing is you want to practice self-care. Get plenty of rest and take care of yourself. That is very important. In fact, there are a few things that are as important as math in my estimation, but self-care is one of those. So take care of yourself. When you get to the exam, be nice to your proctors. They're helping me out and they're helping you out by doing this. These are nice people. They are professional, and they're there for a reason, to ensure academic integrity. Be nice to them. I know they will be nice and professional to you. And once you go in to this test, focus on just doing your best. That's all anyone can ask of you. That's all your parents can ask. That's all you can ask of yourself. That's all I can ask, is that you do your best. So there it is. Do your best. Leave it all out there on the field. And do not underestimate the challenge of the answer sheet. What I mean there is you want to allow time to type in your answers appropriately. I use this example a lot, but if you have e raised to the x power, you don't have fancy graphics, or at least easily achieved fancy graphics to do that. So you want to say e raised to the x over 2 power and do that in a narrative fashion if required. And in the end, if you practice self-care, prepare well, and do your best, you will be fine. In closing, now more than ever, time is precious. Each day must count. Do the math. It will make you strong. And now more than ever, take care of yourself and of each other. May God bless you all.